Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. You're watching this special on auto numbers, and joining me is Shashank Srivastava, who is Senior Executive Officer Marketing and Sales at Maruti Suzuki. Shashank, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
June numbers, good set of numbers. Passenger vehicles for you has been good, 5.8% domestic sales jump. What was the drivers for that?
Well, I think for some of our new models did very well. We introduced the Francs about a month and a half back, and in the month of June we also introduced the Jimny. So those two products helped, and slightly better production of Brezza also helped us get to this number. The inquiry levels also pretty good, I would say, quite stable. In fact, June saw increase of about 13% on the inquiry level. So I think there has been a fairly stable sort of demand situation as far as the parameters of customer pull is concerned.
Can you give us an idea of how the new two launches have done, Franks and Jimny? What kind of order books you've been able to gather?
So Francs, we have got about 65,000 odd bookings so far. We have also, of course, started supplying vehicles against it. We are doing at the rate of between 8 to 10,000 a month for the last 2 months since it has been launched. And also Jimny, we have got about 35,000 bookings. And we last month started sometime in the mid of the month, we started the sale of this product. And in the month of June, we did about 3,500 units of the Jimny.
How do you want to scale it up going into July, August, September?
Yeah, so we are trying to increase production for both the Francs and the Jimny because, as I just said, the order booking is pretty strong. And in fact, Jimny, the waiting periods being quoted are 7 to 8 months. So we would like to increase the production. All depends on the semiconductor availability, and that hopefully should be better in this quarter, starting from July itself. So we are expecting to reduce the waiting periods for these models by ramping up our production.
How much will it come down to, in the sense, to give an idea to all those 35,000 people who have booked Jimny?
Yeah, it's so much difficult to give you the exact the same because the visibility is of these component availability is rather limited, as I mentioned last time also. But July looks to be good. So, but whether it will continue in the same increase, difficult to say at the moment. But yes, I would expect waiting periods to come down substantially once we ramp up the production.
Give me a sense of how you looking at the entire Q2. What kind of environment you're looking at? You're looking at, goods build up happening with respect to demand coming in, and also the fact that October, November would be, I think, the festive months for us. So in that sense, you will see a lot of inventory build up or dealer stock build up happening as well.
Yeah, so largely, the inventory at the dealer level has seen two very polarized scenarios. One is for those models where the supply has been very good, and the others, where, as I mentioned, in some models where because of the semiconductor shortage, the supply has not been so good. So there are many models where you have long waiting periods. Maruti Suzuki has, that the waiting periods for the Ertiga, the XL6, the Vitara, the Brezza, the Dzire, the Francs, the Jimny. But there are other models like the Wagonar, Celerio, Espresso, Alto, where we have good production, and therefore the waiting period is much lesser. So from the inventory perspective, the dealer, some models have inventories at upwards of 40 days, but there are others which are less than 5 or 3 days. But on an average, it's just 24, 25 days, which is like just normal inventory. So going forward for Q2, which you mentioned, yes, there should be, the manufacturers would try to build up stock, especially for the upcoming festive period. But India being a diverse country, the festive actually starts with the Onam festival in Kerala, which is this time end of August, I think 28th or 29th of August is the starting of the Onam. So we'll have to see how the demand progresses from there. The quarter two has a very large base. Last year the quarter two numbers were 10 lakh 17 or 10 lakh 18,000, which have been the highest ever quarter in the history of passenger vehicle in India. So that's a very strong base. And in fact, the highest ever monthly sales have been in the month of September last year, which is 3,55,000, and the third highest sale has been also in the last quarter in July. 341,000 was the third ever highest sale in the industry across any month, across any year. So those are the two of the largest months of the ever in the history of Indian automobile. So that base is quite large, and therefore I would expect growth over this base to be muted. And July itself will be quite tough. We have 341,000 is the total number last year, and that growth above that would be tough to achieve for the industry.
Will you be able to surpass your targets of July?
July, I think from Maruti's perspective, we have said that during the year, while the projection is 5 to 7% growth for the industry, Maruti should grow faster than that, thanks to our new models which we have introduced in the SUV space. Even in the quarter one, as you would have seen, we have grown about 12%, 12.2% against an industry growth of about 9%. So in that sense, we are still maintaining the projections which we have given as regards Maruti's growth and the industry growth.
Will you be able to push more than 12% in Q2, given the fact that you have August festival coming in, starting with Onam, then in September you have Ganesh, Ganpati coming in September for Maharashtra, and then you have October, November of Dashera, and then Diwali also coming in, but that's in Q3 actually.
Of course, we would like to do that and achieve higher growth. But I think, as I just explained, quarter two is that base effect should come in. So I think that's this type of 12% plus growth that we saw in quarter one might be difficult in this immediate quarter, next one.
Give me a sense of how the lower end vehicles are doing, because we've seen, not much demand coming in, though you've been able to sell much. Well, from the industry point of view, the demand is going towards the higher end and SUV led, demand which is coming in. How do you see that segment opening up? And does it require fresh thought of models or ideas, or even going forward a different alternative fuel which will come and bring in some demand in that segment?
So, from a fundamental point of view, the fundamental of economics and demographic point of view, India is a fairly young country. 65% of our population below 35 years of age, and first-time buyers have been remarkably consistent. That happens in a growing economy. 45 to 47% has been the first-time buyers. Public transport not so much developed in our country, and I would therefore expect the requirement for personal transport continue to be high at the first time buyer level, and those people would prefer smaller cars even now because of the affordability factor. So I would expect this segment to remain a very strong force. However, having said that, with the economic fundamentals as I just described, however, if you look at the actual trends in the last few years, this segment, which was at its peak in 2017-18, it was at 15,60,000, 15,58,000. That declined to 13,40,000 last year. So we are off the peaks by a wide margin, and that's because on the affordability front, the income level of the people who buy in this segment haven't gone up at the pace at which the prices have gone up for various reasons. The regulatory stringency, the taxes, the road tax, the insurance, the registration tax, the commodity price increase, and this segment is very sensitive to price increases and higher prices. It's because the price elasticity of demand is very high in this segment. So I think these two factors: one, basic economic fundamentals pushing up the demand in this segment, but the affordability factor coming down in this segment on a short-term basis. So if in the long term the income levels go up in this segment of the people, then I would expect this to continue to be strong. On the other hand, as we have seen the last few years, that has not been the case, and we have seen a decline in this segment. In fact, in this quarter, it is now about 33% of the industry against 47% of the industry for SUV.
Give me a sense of how is the pricing environment there. I mean, is there room to increase prices? We've seen in the two-wheeler segment, one or two players coming and increasing prices. Is there a room here to increase prices, given the fact that raw material prices have been, little sluggish or they've cooled down a bit, but not from the peak, but it has cooled down a bit.
Yeah, and you put it in the right perspective, because when you compare it with the peaks, there has been a softening in the last couple of quarters, yeah, and that is for the commodities. Now, for any auto OEM, the commodity prices are very, very important, because they influence the material cost, and material cost influences component cost, and component cost is about 75 to 77% of the overall cost structure in any auto OEM. And that is why you have seen that the commodity prices which have increased in the last 2 years has led to a number of price hikes by the auto OEMs. But again, I would like to bring this perspective also, that while there has been some softening in the last few quarters, the absolute prices of the commodities still are at an elevated level compared with what they were 2 years back. Example is like, for example, copper. Copper was $5,300 2 years back, went up to $10,400 and is now settled at around $9,000. So when you compare it with the peak of 10,400, you say it's come down, but when you compare with 5,500 2 years back, it's still very high. And the geopolitical situation also adds to that little bit of volatility in the prices. So while we haven't decided on any price hikes, we are watching very carefully the movement of the commodity prices. And,
Is there likelihood of a price hike that you can look at?
it's difficult for me to comment at this time, because we are just seeing. And by the way, this is not as if we have started examining today. It's a continuous process, and we always keep, because as I said, 75 to 77% of the overall cost gets affected by the commodity prices. So we are watching that carefully. Haven't decided, and it's like a continuous process.
Shashank, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck for the second quarter numbers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.